they've got, and I hope with me that you'll agree it's what they call the top.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon and good evening from wherever you are listening to our episode 2 of the Ton Talk podcast. Today could be the best one we ever do. We may just reach our peak after only 2 episodes. I am sat across from, and I make no apology for saying it, the greatest player to ever play for Morton Football Club, the King of Cappielow Park. Our episode 2 of Ton Talk is a Ritchie special, an Andy Ritchie special. Mr. Ritchie, thank you so much for giving us the honour to have you on as our second guest.
Thanks, Joe. Nice to be here.
Andy, I'm sure your teenage life was just only a few years ago anyway, but what was it like growing up in Bells Hill?
Oh, there you go. That's some question to start with, Joe, you know. Probably take up the rest of the time that we've got together. They were happy days. I remember them being happy days. I started my football career at Belsill at Belvedere under the tutorage of Craig Brown, who was a teacher at that time, headmaster at Belvedere. I think Craig Brown went on to have some sort of career in football as well. He tells me he did have some sort of career in football anyway.
That's not bad, wasn't it?
Former Scotland manager. So I started there and I very quickly got into playing locally as well with a local Belsill YMCA team, which at that time had some good boys within that area. So it attracted a lot of scouts, and I just happened to be playing in a good team at that time, so it attracted attention from other people.
Was it a rough area? I mean, it always gets a tough reputation, but do you consider it a tough area?
I didn't, because I didn't really know any different then. You know, it was a heavy industrial engineering type environment, which made it like that. Plenty of football being played in it. You know, every kid seemed to want to play football, every young player. So there's plenty of that going on. And everybody claims in that area in the west of Scotland to come from Belsill, because we had one of the biggest maternity hospitals in the area, which meant that everybody gravitated to that hospital to have their children. So see, on your birth certificate, it'll always say Belsill you were born in, even although you might have been born 50 or 60 or 70 miles away. So there always is that. So there's this massive reputation that Belsill produced so many good football players, thousands of them. But it didn't really. But it produced some good ones, you know. We had, you know, Sir Matt Busby was one of the most famous people to come out of Belsill. And plenty of other footballers who went on to make it in the game, but also thousands of others who could play the game that never became a pro.
Mm-hmm. See, when you were growing up in Belsill, I mean, you mentioned players that went on and had a good career. See, in your time, was there anybody that you grew up with and they went on and had a great career?
No, that in my time, no. But you know, we had guys like the great Hughie Gallagher going back to the 50s, who was an absolute icon at Newcastle United. Unfortunately, life didn't treat Hughie particularly well. My dad told me the story about him. I'd read a lot about him at that time. That life didn't really treat him very well, and unfortunately committed suicide a few years after his football career finished. But there was always, you know, in that YMCA team, just to go back to touch on that, 6 of that under 15 YMCA football team went away out of that team to become professionals. West Bromwich Albion, Crystal Palace. Jim Fleming went to Manchester United. I went to Celtic. Jim Wynn, another guy, went to Celtic. So out of that, half that YMCA football team were picked up by football clubs. But that seemed to be the norm in the area. That there was a lot of footballers who played the game, so there was a lot of opportunity for them to be seen and to be picked up by clubs. And you know, there was many footballers. Billy McNeil was probably the most decorated footballer that Belsill has ever produced. And I just hear in the last couple of weeks now that we're actually getting together in Belsill to put up a statue of Billy McNeil, which will be nice as well. Be nice for his family. It's left there. And Belsill will be able to honour probably one of their finest footballers.
See, back to the YMCA, did the YMCA suggest you to all these football clubs, or was it merely a case of somebody went, watched the game, knew the YMCA had a good reputation, and then took the players from there?
Yeah, they came along because scouts, you know, were throughout the game at that time. You know, it's usually elderly men with cloth caps and big long dark coats standing round the side of the park watching. And I'd played with them for about half a season. I was younger than the rest of the boys. And they were there to watch Harry Watson, who went to Crystal Palace, and Jim Chico Hamilton, who went to play on at Sunderland. They boys were all playing the team. And to be honest with you, early on in my career, like that, I was bypassed a wee bit. There was always trial games on the go. The big English clubs would come up, take over a junior pitch and play trial games. And I'd been passed over for selection on many occasions for that. Maybe due to the fact that, you know, I liked too much of my mother's dinners at that time, and I was quite a big boy, you know. I was probably looked upon as being the fatty in the team, you know, but I could play a wee bit, and I knew at that time I was okay. And I remember one Sunday afternoon, the trials were on at Cumbernauld. Middlesbrough were playing trial game, and 4 of the boys from Belsall YMCA were supposed to go there. But I think they had been at other clubs and more or less committed their future to other clubs, so a couple of them didn't turn up, which left them short. Guy who was organising it from Belsall knew my dad and asked if I'd come along and make the numbers up.
And that's where it all began. I went that day, on a cold, wet, miserable day to Cumbernauld, and played the game, started the game off. I played 10-15 minutes and was taken off because there were a lot of kids there, and I thought, well, there you go, that blows my career in football. But little did I know at that time that Stan Anderson, the manager of Middlesbrough, was there with his assistant manager, Harold Shepherdson, who had been assistant manager for England in the World Cup, with Alf Ramsey. And they took me off so that other scouts for other clubs wouldn't steal you.
I scored a goal in the first 10-15 minutes for about 25 yards, and that had caught their attention. And they wanted to take me to Middlesbrough on trial. And I came in, spoke to Harold Shepherdson, who said that the scout, Jack McCartney, who would contact my mother and father, and I think they gave me £1 for my expenses that day. I'd get a run up in the car, so you know, I was a millionaire for the day. By the time I had got out the dressing rooms into the car park, I was approached by Manchester United scout Jimmy Matthew, who was Sir Matt Busby's brother, saying that he'd be down to speak. He came from Belsall, Jimmy, so he knew my mum and dad. He'd be down to speak to mum and dad. We want you to come to Manchester United. I got to the car, and John Dempsey, who was a Celtic scout, who was an uncle of Brian Dempsey, who was involved at Celtic Park a few years back there, involved in the takeover of Fergus McCann. He was there, and he said he'd be in to see my mother and father as well the following night, which would be on a Monday night. I got in the car, and I remember my head was spinning all the way back down to Cumbernauld, thinking, oh good, you know, what a great thing to be able to go and tell my mum and dad, it'll make them that proud, you know. And I got home and I rushed in and clattered in through the door that day into my mother's house, and there was a man sitting on the couch, and it was the chief scout for Rangers who was sitting talking to my mother about me going to Rangers. So from leaving the house that Sunday morning and a few years later coming back, my football career had, well, in its infancy had started.
It shaped itself.
Yeah, it was going somewhere.
Obviously during this time as well, were you going to school? Were you a hard worker in school? What was it?
No, I wasn't. I couldn't go down to being a hard worker. I found school difficult. I had one or two issues with it. I always have done. I found out early years I got a very low concentration threshold. Bit of a daydreamer, and all that was going on round about me at that time as well. Plus I was a bit dyslexic, which I didn't know about. So all these things were happening around about school. So school didn't really hold any great importance to me, which I'm sorry about now and have been for many years of my life. So when school became more of an issue because of this, I had signed for Celtic at that time. You know, I had gone to Middlesbrough, I'd gone to Manchester, I'd gone to West Brom, I'd gone to Crystal Palace, I'd gone to all the places for a wee while to have a look at it. But I felt that, you know, I was training at Celtic on the Tuesday night and going to Ibrox and training the Thursday. And at the end of it all, when it came to decision time for an S1, I chose Celtic because they had the best setup. They had the best boy football players in Scotland at that time. And I was beginning to feel more comfortable in my time going in the Tuesday night at Celtic Park. We had a great coach in there, gentleman, for your older listeners, a gentleman called Willie Fernie, who had played for Celtic, great Celtic player. Fantastic man, great coach, and I felt comfortable with him. And I chose Celtic. And within 3 or 4 months, they made the offer for me to join the ground staff, which was the pinnacle of boys football at that time. To be there, to be on a full-time basis in there at 15 years of age. see the greats, be part of it. You know, work and be in the environment round about the Lisbon Lions was something special. You know, it was great. And I knew one or two of them personally as well, that lived locally.
Did you get to speak to them? I mean, did you
I used to travel with
interact?
Jimmy Johnson every morning to training. That was an experience.
What was he like?
Jimmy was a genius, an absolute genius. Jimmy Johnson was one of these type people involved in football at that time. He could have played as a centre half, he could have played in goals, and he'd been great. And just to be round about him and play in the same team and be part of it was an experience, you know. On the park, it was a real experience. It was a privilege to be there, and off the park, it was a roller coaster. Well. Yeah.
Did you get, see, when you were at Celtic? Did you get to play alongside these? Was it just training, or did you play in games with them? The Lisbon Lions.
With the Lisbon Lions, I played about. I think I played all in about a dozen to 15 games, first team games at Celtic Park. But I played in a lot of friendlies and I played in a lot of tournaments. And at that time as well, if you didn't play in the first team at Celtic Park, you played in the reserves. And the reserves played on a Saturday as well, which meant that the first team could be playing at Celtic Park against Aberdeen, where you'd be playing the reserves against Aberdeen at Pittodrie. And the guys who weren't going to be used there were sent away. So, you know, there would be first team players: Harry Hood, Tommy Callaghan, Jim Brogan, Jimmy Johnston. The reserve team was made up of maybe 7 to 8 normal first team players. They had a squad of 19. So they would come along with, and made up with the best of what they had in there as far as young players were concerned. So, yeah, I played a lot of games with Jimmy. I think I've only played about 3 or 4 in the first team. But Jimmy's career during the early 70s like that was just beginning to wane a wee bit, you know, at Celtic, which meant that, you know, I would love to have seen him at his peak. I'd have loved to have seen the 63, 64, 65.
Was that him at his peak? I mean, was that
65, 66 when Jimmy was the best player in Europe. You know, where Europe was a universe at that time, you know, and Jimmy was the top player. I remember travelling in a European Cup tie, trying to remember whoever the name of the place was again. Sachsenring Zwickau in East Germany before the Berlin Wall came down, which was a major escapade in itself. We drew them in the European Cup, and I think it was one of my second or third time in Europe. And I remember we got off East Berlin and made our way out to Zwickau. And I remember getting off the bus outside the hotel. The hotel was called the Karl Marx Hotel. I'll never forget it. What a dull, depressing, seriously depressing place it was. But when we got off the bus, there were about 40 people, and they all had papers and scrapbooks and everything to sign. And the only person that they wanted to sign their books was Jimmy Johnson. Now this was before Sky and everybody else telling everybody. This is before the internet. This is before any television. There was nothing. These people were footballing anoraks, but they knew the name of Jimmy Johnson. They just crowded round about for the signature of Jimmy Johnson. That told me how famous Jimmy Johnson was.
But how do you think they knew that? I mean, do you think they're just reading books or telegraphs or papers and just to see him?
You would never know, because every shop window I looked at, that would be 1975, 1974, every shop window had nothing in it. You know, you used to go away in European games and bring something home for your family that they wouldn't be able to get here. You know, you looked in there and there was nothing in shop windows. The busiest time was 5 o'clock in the morning. You look out your hotel window, see people travelling to work, walking to work. There was nothing in this country. East Germany, it was a, you know, communist country behind the Berlin Wall. But they knew Jimmy Johnson because they were real, true footballing anoraks. You know, my granddaughter, Kira, she says to me, "Papa, you don't really need to know too much about that now, just Google it." I said, "No, my brain's my Google. That's the way I work it. If I've heard or I've seen it over the years." And where these people got that type of information, because I wouldn't imagine they would have got it off their television, you know, or radio or anything like that. They were just pure football people. You know.
So obviously, you joined Celtic '71. You were shortly farmed out to Kirkcaldy, Rob Roy, who are about to liquidate. Actually, I was reading an article in there about to I think the councils had a bit of scuffle with them. But what was that like for you to play in that team?
Well, I played the previous season with Celtic Boys Club, I had been at the YMCA, and because Celtic were now amalgamating and bringing all the rest form signings together, I went to Celtic Boys Club for a season. And I scored 140 goals or something in one season. And the next progression would be that you were farmed out as a professional player to a junior club, toughen you up, And Celtic did that with me to Kirkintilloch Rob Roy, who I'm sorry to hear that they're in that position, now. But at that time, we were quite a wealthy junior football club. Kirkintilloch was a dry area. For young guys like yourself, Joe, I'll tell you what a dry area is. They had no pubs in the Kirkintilloch area. The only place that you could buy alcohol in the Kirkintilloch area was at the Kirkintilloch Rob Roy Junior Social Club. So you had to travel out with your area. It was a dry area, no alcohol. That club was booming every night of the week, and Kirkintilloch Rob Roy were making a lot of money. But they also had a fantastic football park at Adamsley Park, it was called. Great surface, a bit like the surface out there. I'm looking out this big window at Cappielow now. There was grass on it. Beautiful, beautiful big surface. And Celtic thought that might be the place for me to blossom, playing in a surface like that. And I was sent to Rob Roy initially for the season. I was called up, which they did at that time, to full-time ranks about the December. But I played from the July till the December with Rob Roy and really enjoyed it. Great club, run by great people at that time. And I was only 16. I was only a boy, So they did look after me. In fact, I had to get the bus out, the Bluebird bus out to Kirkintilloch twice a week. And they would have a senior member of the staff at Rob Roy would walk me to the bus stop on the way back home and make sure I got into Glasgow, and then collect me at the bus stop when I got back out, coming back for the games at the weekend. It was like parental guidance. And I was playing that, and I managed. I think I scored about 35 goals in about 17 games. I scored 5 in my first game for Rob Roy as a 16-year-old boy against Vale of Leven at Rob Roy on a beautiful summer's night. Never forget it. And I played in a League Cup final at Old Shawfield in the December against Benburb. And after that, I'd played a couple of reserve games and managed to score goals for Celtic reserves. And they called me up in the December. So I would have been 16 and I wouldn't have been 17 until the February of the following year. So that was a time limit on it.
You mentioned obviously that was the only place where they sold drink was the junior club. I presume the crowds must have been pretty good. If obviously they're where they were selling drink.
Yeah.
Was the crowds good to go and watch Kirkintilloch?
Yes, they always get a fair crowd for a junior club. And sometimes the lure of staying on in the social club after 2 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon with the bevy was better than the lure they got to watch Kirkintilloch Rob Roy. So they didn't get everybody that was in the social club, but they got a fair amount, and they had a successful season. Before we had been in the League Cup final in December that year for Rob Roy, we had played 3 cup ties, and we drew Cambuslang Rangers at Adamsley Park, and they had 7,500 at the game. And went back to Cambuslang, Somerville Park, Cambuslang, I forget it. It's great how that comes to you. Somerville Park, and we had 6,500. They beat us in the replay there. We drew 2 each at Adamsley, and they beat us in the replay. And Cambuslang Rangers were on to win the Scottish Cup that year, and they won it for 3 years in a row after, 2 years in a row after that. Won it 3 times in the trot. So yeah, they did, and it was a beautiful junior stadium. It was neat, it was tidy, it was compact, it had a little stand in it. And as I said before, we had some good pros in the junior pros there. We had experienced guys plus a good mixture of young boys, and we weren't a bad football team. And yeah, I enjoyed my spell at Rob Roy.
So it
was 6 months.
Beneficial to you, would you say?
Very much so.
Aye.
It got to the stage that I was not playing boys club football anymore. That was finished. There were no youth team football. You went from playing in boys club football to your wee spell through the juniors and then into the reserves. I managed to make that climb a bit quicker. Physically, I was able to do it because I was big. I was beginning to level myself out. I was fit because I was able to do my work in the morning at Celtic Park. I could score a goal and I could play a wee bit. So all the things added up to the opportunity to try and play with the men, and I proved that I could do that at that time, you know.
Is it true that 74 World Cup, you went and watched Brazil hitting their free kicks?
Yeah, I went out in 74 with some pals. We drove out to Germany. We went to Dortmund. Drove to Dortmund for the first game. Scotland played Zaire in the first game. Got tickets outside the hotel. Jimmy Johnson, you mentioned earlier on, was in the squad.
Aye.
And Jimmy got me 3 tickets for the game in Dortmund. I think Dennis Law played his last game for Scotland there. And then we drove from Dortmund to Frankfurt, where they played 2 games. They played Brazil and Yugoslavia and Frankfurt. Based ourselves there. And we were Scotland supporters for the fortnight. It was great. It was a great experience. And I found out that not too far from the village we were living in, Scotland's training camp was there, and they shared the training camp with Brazil. So at that time, you could just go up, walk in through the door, and sit on the bank and watch the training. Scotland trained first, and then about half an hour after, the Brazilians came and trained. You know, all the greats: Rivellino, Tostão, Jairzinho, Carlos Alberto. They were all there. So I sat on the bank and I watched them. And I've said before, it was the first time I ever seen. They brought out the cardboard wall, you know, and they put up the wall, and Rivellino and Jairzinho spent half an hour, 40 minutes bending balls round about this wall, this cardboard wall into the net. And I thought I'd love to have had a crack at that. I'd love to have went out on the park with them and had a shot at it. And I thought, when I get back home, I'm going to do that, you know.
And do you think that's where it all came from, your free kicks? And
well, I did do a lot of practicing there. Yeah, I did do a lot of practicing and developed it over the years as well, you know. I used to do a lot of that. We get down here early for training, a Tuesday, a Thursday night. Jimmy Holmes and all the rest of the boys would get there in the park and we'd kick the ball about. I would practice it. Right. I found out the following season after I'd watched that in 74 that I had a knack for doing it as well, you know. And it was practice. It was practice.
Were you continually on the training ground bending round free kicks, and was that what it was?
It wasn't structured.
Perfect.
It wasn't structured. You know, it was like, you know, people learned how to header the ball here for crosses because of the 25 minutes we did before training started. You know, your older listeners will remember the fact that, you know, the great pastime for boys of our era was when they played crossy in. And that's how you learned how to header the ball. You learned how to cross it, and you also learned how to header it as well. And that's what we did here. You know, I would practice it, but it wasn't set up. You know, some of the balls that we used in here in the 1970s were like skinned potatoes. You know, they weren't like the new modern ball. And I remember in 78 we changed onto the Adidas Tango ball. I found that did move a wee bit more in the air at that time, but it was a thing that was developed over the years. And to take good free kicks, obviously practice is vitally important, but you need to have a wee bit of imagination for what you're doing as well. And I found that, you know, I could implement that without any problem.
Right. So obviously, your relationship with Jock Stein was probably, I mean, it wasn't great. What were the biggest issues, do you think, with you and Jock Stein?
Up until the time when Mr. Stein had his car accident, I was in the first team squad. I was only 17, 18. And we had a great relationship, you know. I admired and respected him completely. He was an icon. He could suck the air out of the dressing room when he walked into you. And I remember thinking, brilliant, this guy just knew everything about the game. He knew everything, how to benefit yourself in the game. And he demanded respect. But also attached to that was a load of fear. And I could see it. Guys who'd been at the first team for a long, long time, you know, wee Jimmy and that, and, you know, Bobby Lennox and Bertie Auld and all the Lisbon Lions. There's a bit of fear in them all for Big Jock, you know. But massive respect they had for him as well. He knew everything. He just knew the whole game inside it. And my career was rolling along quite nicely. You know, I was doing well. And then that summer, Big Jock had a near-death experience in a car crash. Was out for a long, long time. And the people who were running Celtic after that had different ideas about how the game should have been played. The people over there didn't really fancy me that much. Brought in other young players who all of a sudden gazumped me in the line of playing in the first team, and I developed a bit of a horrible attitude to it all. So by the time the manager had come back again, about 13, 14 months later, things had changed. My situation had changed, but also, unfortunately, for Jock Stein like that, his situation had changed him as well, you know. These things happen in life, and I think he would have admitted it himself. You know, he just wasn't the same man or manager after that, you know. And so, unfortunately, you know, that took its toll on my career as well. Big Jock moved on, and I moved on. You know, he moved to, I think he went to Leeds United, and I come down here, you know. But at the start of it all, it was, you know, it was fantastic. You know, I would have loved it. I don't know where my career would have gone. Sometimes sit back and reflect on that. If that hadn't happened to Jock Stein like that, you know, would it have been the same? Would it have been different? I don't know, but I know that I loved my time that I spent with him, and I think at that time, you know, when that was happening, he really liked me. Once I'd developed this horrible attitude, he hated me. And at the end of it all, when I did leave to come to Cappielow, I think he was horrendously frustrated with the whole thing in regards to me, you know. He didn't want me to come here. He made an offer of a new 4-year contract the day that I signed for Morton. And in my wisdom at that time, I chose to knock it back because I thought I needed to come and play football. Not only show Jock Stein, but try and show everybody else I could play a wee bit as well, you know. But I just wonder sometimes what would have happened, because my career was on the up prior to Mr. Stein's accident like that. What would have happened if that hadn't taken place? But that's life. Eh?
It's not perfect, is it?
You know? I'd like to have tried it out.
Are you to an extent kind of not grateful with the fact your relationship was tinted with Jock Stein, but I mean the fact that that relationship towards the end kind of forced a move to Morton, are you grateful to an extent that that's the way things went?
That's just life. That was just the way it was at that time. I think I said earlier on to you, Joe, we didn't get the chance as football players all the years ago to plan out any kind of football life for yourself. You could turn up here one night at Cappielow and find yourself moving hundreds of miles away with your family and everything else the following day because the club had accepted an offer for you. So you can never really plan anything like that. You know, I came down to Cappielow, and I've got to be honest about this, as a shortstop. I wanted to come down, show people that I could play well for Morton while I was here, entertain people, give them what I could do, and hopefully that would be good enough for bigger, in inverted commas, better clubs to come along, pay Morton a lot of money, and I would move on somewhere else. And it didn't work out that way, you know. All of a sudden, the club here seen the pound, shillings, and pennies sign and thought, well, we'll make a few quid off Big Andy, you know. But we had a lot of players I'd played with down here that went on for good sums of money, and the club made money. And the adage to all that was that they would come along, they would play well for Morton, the supporters would be able to see them for a few seasons. They'd get into a team and they'd make the team better, which would make Morton more successful, which would please the supporters. And at the end of it, when they did move on, the supporters, they'd move on with their blessing. They had gave good years to Morton, and they deserved to move on because they were good players. And I hoped that I'd become one of them, you know, but it didn't work out that way.
See, looking back on it, like, I mean, we'll probably touch on it later on, but was it always going to be that you would have stayed, or when was the turning point? When did you think I could have quite a good career here?
It happened very quickly here. In November '76, when I came here, Morton were second bottom in the league. I had signed for less money than I was getting at Celtic Park, which didn't please my good lady. I was a man in a bit of a hurry to make a name for myself. And I remember we played Clydebank 0-0 out there on the Wednesday night, and then went to Love Street, played Alec Ferguson St Mirren on the Saturday, and they threw us about the park like a rag doll. They were a good team, they were going to win the league that year. They beat us 5-1. And I remember driving up from Love Street thinking, we are not very good here, and I don't want to be hanging about here too long. And maybe I've made the biggest mistake in my career coming here. This looks as if it could very well all be downhill. And within that space of time, from the end of that year in November, December, to the end of the season, things happened at this club. Players moved on that really should have moved on a year or 2 years before. And Benny Rooney, the manager, who was probably one of the most progressive young managers in the game at that time, brought in good players here. And within 6 months, we had gone on a fantastic run, undefeated games, and finished third top of the league. And he signed even more players during the summer who were good players. And we started the following season in the Championship. And I think we were certainly in the top 3 throughout the whole season and won the Championship to go up into the Premier League. So within 18 months, we'd gone from second bottom of the whole Championship to being in the Premier League and opening the 1978 season here against Celtic. And the place was full, 26,000 people. So it happened quickly for the club and the team. And it also happened quickly for me, Joe, you know. And I thought, well, if I give this another year, I'll be okay here. I'd scored goals in the First Division. I scored goals in the Premier League. I think I got 30 odd goals in the Premier League that season. And people are saying, he did it in the Championship, he did it in the Premier League. I'll not do it 2 years in the trot. And I did it the following year. And then I began to think that I think my wages had doubled to about 50 quid a week, which wasn't a lot of money. You know? I was still working outside and playing part-time. I had the chance to go to Argentina, and the SFA committee wouldn't allow Ali McLeod to take a part-time player to Argentina. Ali had told me prior to that if I could get a move to a full-time club, he would cap me internationally. All these things were happening round about, and the only stumbling block was I was playing with a part-time club. Not really a fashionable club in Scotland, but I really needed to get that move to inspire me again onto bigger and better things, and the club were looking for an awful lot of money, which wasn't going to happen.
Right, we'll bring an end to our part 1 just now. Once we're back, we'll be back talking about the glory years at Morton and how it all changed for Andy and his life after Morton as well.